Every year, thousands of people enter the United States legally with temporary visas, such as tourist, student, or work visas. However, many inadvertently or intentionally remain in the country beyond the expiration date of their authorized stay. Overstaying a visa is more than just a technical violation. It carries serious legal implications that can affect your ability to live, work, or return to the U.S. in the future. From immediate legal consequences to long-term immigration bans, the risks are substantial. This video explores the top 10 legal implications of overstaying a visa and offers insights into how to address or avoid these issues. 1. You become out of status immediately after the visa expiration. The moment your authorized stay expires, regardless of the expiration date on the visa sticker in your passport, you're considered out of status. This means you are no longer legally allowed to remain in the U.S. The duration of your stay is determined by the expiration date on your Form I-94, not your visa stamp. Once you're out of status, you lose your legal protections and risk enforcement actions by immigration authorities, including detention or removal. 2. Accrual of unlawful presence can trigger re-entry bans. Once you overstay your visa by more than 180 days but less than 1 year and then leave the U.S., you are subject to a 3-year re-entry ban. If you overstay by more than 1 year and leave, you can be barred from re-entering for 10 years. These penalties are severe and can interrupt your education, employment, family life, or immigration aspirations. Accruing unlawful presence without addressing it legally can shut the door on future visa applications or adjustment of status. 3. You may be ineligible for a change or adjustment of status. Overstaying can make it much more difficult, or even impossible, to adjust your status to a different visa category or to become a permanent resident. For example, if you were on a student visa and then tried to switch to an employment-based visa or apply for a green card through marriage, being out of status can disqualify you. There are few exceptions, such as immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, but in most cases, overstaying jeopardizes your eligibility. 4. You risk deportation or removal proceedings. When you remain in the U.S. past your authorized stay, you become a priority for immigration enforcement. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, may initiate deportation proceedings against you. You could be detained and placed before an immigration judge, who may issue a removal order. Even if you've built a life in the U.S., the law views you as removable, and ICE can act at any time to enforce that. 5. You cannot legally work or access public benefits. Once you are out of status, you are no longer eligible to work in the U.S., even if you had a work permit associated with your visa before. Working while out of status is a violation of immigration law and can have serious consequences if discovered, especially if you later apply for immigration benefits. Furthermore, overstayers cannot access most federal or state public benefits, including health insurance or housing assistance. 6. You may face barriers when applying for future visas. If you overstay and then attempt to apply for another visa, whether it's a visitor, student, or employment visa, you may be denied due to your previous immigration violations. U.S. consular officers often view overstaying as a sign that the applicant may not comply with visa terms in the future. This history becomes part of your immigration record and is considered seriously in any future visa or green card adjudication. 7. You could jeopardize family-based immigration petitions. If you overstay and later marry a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, you might assume that you can simply adjust your status and receive a green card. However, overstaying can complicate this process, particularly if your spouse is not a U.S. citizen. If you entered legally but overstayed, you may still qualify under some family-based immigration categories, but the path will be more difficult and may require a waiver for unlawful presence. 8. You may be disqualified from applying for naturalization. For immigrants who later manage to adjust their status and obtain a green card, their visa overstay can still affect their future naturalization application. U.S. citizenship requires a showing of good moral character and compliance with immigration laws. If you previously overstayed your visa, this may be used to argue that you don't meet the criteria. This is especially relevant for those who have overstayed for extended periods or worked illegally. 9. You might be subject to ICE detention at any time. Overstaying can make you vulnerable to immigration enforcement actions, including detention. If you come into contact with law enforcement, even for unrelated reasons, You may be identified as being out of status and turned over to ICE. Once detained, your options become more limited, and you may be forced to fight your case from detention. This adds stress, cost, and urgency to your legal situation and can lead to rapid removal proceedings. 10. It becomes harder to prove eligibility for waivers or relief. If you apply for a visa or green card after an overstay, you may need to request a waiver of inadmissibility for unlawful presence. These waivers are not automatically granted and require showing that your U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident spouse or parent would suffer extreme hardship if you're denied entry. The burden of proof is high, and many waiver applications are denied. Overstaying makes your legal path more difficult and uncertain. Overstaying a visa is not just a minor infraction. It carries wide-ranging legal consequences that can affect every aspect of your life in the United States and your ability to return in the future. From triggering automatic re-entry bans to complicating future visa applications, the implications are serious and long-lasting. If you find yourself approaching the end of your authorized stay, it's crucial to seek legal advice immediately. In many cases, there may be options, such as applying for an extension, adjustment of status, or even leaving voluntarily before accruing unlawful presence. By taking timely action and understanding the consequences, you can avoid costly immigration setbacks and preserve your legal opportunities.